What's up, everybody? It's your main man, Justin from North Carolina, with the only unfiltered Brewers talk on the internet. This is a Cream City Curveball. Again, I'm Justin.
Chris King.
And Jeff.
Yeah, man, a lot of stuff to talk about, man. Life gets in the way. Baseball has so many games, so we've missed all of y'all for these couple games. But I want to get right into it with this spell that we just had against the Baltimore Orioles, the lowly Baltimore Orioles, and then the lowly Pittsburgh Pirates. Going 4-3 against those baseball teams, in my opinion, for the level of talent that the Milwaukee Brewers have, is not acceptable. You saw a 2 out of 3 against the Orioles. That's a decent start, but game 3, we were in prime position to take that game, and then we give up, 4 in the top of the 11th and lose that one 8-4. Then you fast forward, we throw one game away literally against the Pittsburgh Pirates. We have another one where we just don't execute. I think the thing is, when you're looking at this Milwaukee Brewers baseball team and things aren't going the way that we think they should, it's a lack of execution. Guys on third base with less than 2 outs, not getting them home, not moving runners, not timely hitting, bad pitching, and a little bit of blue just forgetting the strike zone. So, culmination of a lot of things is what I saw. What'd you gentlemen see?
Yeah, I think now when you look at just the back end of it, like the way that the Brewers were able to take that final game from the Pirates after going down, building a lead 3-0 and going down 5-3 and then immediately taking it back. There's some encouragement there. But, yeah, of course, you wanted to see a lot more production. And some of the things we talked about, Yelly and Chorio, some of those things are now fixing in these past couple games in the way that they've been able to sweep the Boston Red Sox. But, yeah, I mean, there was just a culmination of a lot of things that went wrong for the Brewers and a lot of things that went right for these bad teams in some of those games. So I think now that they're finally able to see a sweep go down is good, and we'll talk about that. But, yeah, I think, it is a baseball season, and it is a long season, and there are going to be moments in a season where you're going to have mishaps and you're going to have – losses to bad teams, and they can kind of spiral. So the fact that they were even able to come out of those 7 games at least above 500 is okay with me. And then the fact that they're on a 4-game win streak now is good.
Yeah, their record against Baltimore and Pittsburgh, it was okay, but it's a missed opportunity. Those are teams that you have more talent than. You should have done better than 4-3 against that squad. My fear is if it gets down towards the end and we're a couple games short, we're going to look at that little stretch and say, oh, what if? And I hope that doesn't happen. The thing with the Brewers is when they play well, they're playing mistake-free baseball. And when they don't, they're not. And through a long stretch there, they weren't. And when you have guys who are struggling, and yes, they're starting to come out of it a little bit in the Boston series, but, you had Yelich struggling. The bottom of the order wasn't doing anything. And, obviously until the series here against the Red Sox. But, it just makes the margin for error that much less. And so far, the Brewers haven't been able to play clean baseball while they're trying to sit there and wait out the time until their bats finally start getting rolling like they should be.
Yeah, speaking of bats, man, and we'll fast forward into this, what Chris alluded to with this Boston Red Sox series. Hey, gentlemen, we finally borrowed the broom from one of these dumb ex-wives or ex-girlfriends or whoever it is. We got the witch off the broom, and we swept them Boston Red Sox up out of Milwaukee. Going back, get your Dunkin' Donuts and your clam chowder. We don't like any of you Boston people. I'm glad the Celtics are at home. I'm glad the New England Patriots suck. I'm glad the Boston Bruins suck. I hate everything Boston. Man, that was a mouthful. Pause. So, that series, it was absolutely amazing, especially if you're a baseball fan and you're not a Brewers fan, because just watching those comeback wins. You talked about it, Pipe, and you did too, Chris, with Christian Yelich. Welcome back, NV Yelich. Caleb Durbin, he had a heck of a ball game yesterday. But the biggest thing I saw in that series, yes, winning all 3 games is great. Aroldis Chapman is still a hell of a baseball pitcher. And for Yelich to get up there and get that base hit off of him and force that game into extras. And I'm hoping, gentlemen, that this is the thing that kickstarts our season. We're finally above 500 again. We're not losers anymore. We're back in our winning ways. So, what do you gentlemen see? Do you see us going up, or do you see us this kind of like a mid-win, and you're not that excited, but you're happy for a sweep?
Well, I'm certainly happy for a sweep. And just the only thing that gets me about the upcoming schedule is that now you got the Phillies, and it's like, okay, this could very well go right back down to below 500, and you could very well, maybe even get swept by the Phillies. So you certainly are happy that they were able to take care of business against a Red Sox team that's just kind of mid, but now you've got a team that's not a team that's good, a team that's got bats 1 through 9, a team that's offense has been really good as of late, and so you're gonna have to continue to put up runs. You're gonna have to continue to pitch well, and you just can't rely on late game heroics all the time versus a team like the Phillies who can go out there and put up runs from the get go, and so they can't rely on that. But yeah, I was certainly happy to see a sweep. Although Chorio, I was just looking at it, only had 2 hits throughout the series that felt like they were impactful. A leadoff home run in game 1 of that series is big. And then, he had a double and a run scored the other day. So, some of that stuff is encouraging to see. Yelly, obviously, with the walk-off bomb. And, stuff like that is certainly encouraging. And then hopefully you're able to carry that against a good Phillies team.
Yeah, we'll see. There was a lot of encouragement, encouraging things there. But let's not pretend that Boston didn't sit there and give us a hell of a lot of opportunities with their shoddy defense and stuff like that, too. It seemed like this was a series that finally the shoe was on the other foot and the other team was the one making the mistakes here. Now, whether this is what jumpstarts the season, let's hope so. You're 1 game over now. The race for me is always to 10, and you want to get 10 games over as soon as possible. So that way, if you drop 3 or 4 in a row, you're still 6 to 7 games over and you're still in great shape to make a deep run. Now, the schedule is going to get a hell of a lot harder here. You got Philadelphia, then you got the Reds, you got the Padres, the Braves, the Cardinals, the Cubs. So the opposition talent is about to go through the roof. It's a good time for the Brewers to be on this hot streak. And if they can keep it going, they can make up ground. But we'll see, man. The competition is about to get a hell of a lot tougher than it's been for a while.
No, you're absolutely right. I don't think we get a reprieve into the last week of the June, and then we have Pirates and Rockies again. So yeah, it's definitely gonna get tougher. The thing I will say about Boston, though, they do have a pretty decent pitching staff. They have a lot of guys and a lot of names there that can throw the ball well, with the exception of their middle relief, though. Speaking of pitching, kind of wanted something that perturbed me in the last week or so. We got Logan Henderson pitching lights out. What is he? 4-0, 3-0. All these great numbers, and then we send the kid down. For me, it just kind of baffles me, and I'm not saying that I'm no more than Matt Arnold or I know more than Murphy or any of these guys, but just sending that kid down when he's pitching so well, it's baffling to me. We saw DL Hall come in, and he looked pretty decent in one of those Red Sox games, but I just want to get you gentlemen's thoughts about what do you think about this, like sending Henderson down, we're bringing Hall, Savale just pitched. It seems like we got this wealth of pitching, and it's almost like we're cutting off our nose to spite our face when it comes to this pitching stuff.
Yeah, to me, I know Logan Henderson had some games where he pitched well, and that's going to be important for the Brewers' future. But if you got guys like Savali and Woody eventually coming back, and Quintana and those guys, I mean, they're going to be the ones that are going to be trusted throughout those games versus those really good teams that Jeff mentioned that we're going to end up facing, because these are all guys who they have experience against the major bats. When you talk about playing the Braves, Acuna and guys on every other which team that you're going to play, a loaded Padres lineup, a loaded Phillies lineup, they have experience against those guys, and hopefully Murph is able to find the best matchups for those particular days and those particular games.
Yeah, this is one of those situations because of the log jam with the guys coming back and how well, not only Henderson, but a lot of those guys are performing in the starting rotation. They're doing everything except go deep on a night in, night out basis. And they got to sit there and get a hell of a lot better length because this bullpen, I've rarely do I feel bad for professional athletes in the life they lead, but man, Jared Koenig, whoo, that guy's got a bunch of miles on that shoulder so far this season. So the bullpen definitely needs to get some rest here, and hopefully the starters are the one that make it easier. With Henderson, it sucks, man. It's a numbers game. He's young. He can get sent down. It's really no big deal. You just hope, that he doesn't view it that, oh, I'm punished. I'm being punished for being so good, because that's not what it is. Like Chris said, obviously they're going to want to go with the veterans, especially with this hellacious schedule coming up. You want guys that have been there, done that, and proven over many, many years. And obviously Henderson hasn't had the time. If I'm Priester, your trip is coming soon because it's available to them. You're running out of spots here with good guys. Now, obviously, that is awesome, and that's the exact position you want to be in. And if the starting rotation keeps pitching the way they are, then all of a sudden, come trade deadline time, don't be surprised if Freddie Peralta is getting shopped.
Man, Pipe, just kick me in the stomach, why don't you?
Hey, I'm not saying, I'm just saying.
Let's talk about real quick before I look around the minors, and I want to get you gentlemen's prediction because that stretch, this gauntlet, is 22 games. So love a record prediction on this next 22. But I look around the minors, I want to do something a little bit different because Pipe mentioned, what's his name, Pastor Priester? Is that what you call him, Pipe?
Father Quinn.
Father Quinn, there you go. All right, so Father Quinn. So we traded Yoferi Rodriguez for Father Quinn. So I just want to give you gentlemen his stats. 143 at-bats in the minors this year in high A for the Greenville Drive of the Boston Red Sox organization. 210 batting average, 2 home runs, 14 RBIs, 5 stolen bases, and a 694 OPS. So I know when we made this trade, including myself, a lot of people were up at angst about getting rid of Mr. Rodriguez. Just great kid, nice guy. But I really can't say we lost a trade yet. And I know that you got 3 or 4 or 5 years before you can determine it. So what I'm going to say for these next 22, anything above 500 is an absolute win to me. You got to execute. You're going to have to take it, obviously, game by game. But there's some tough competition. You get Walker against in Philadelphia, game 1. Those are the guys you got to beat. You got to beat the guys that are kind of struggling a little bit. But we'll see, man. If it's one guy I trust to manage this team and lead this team through this next 22, it's Mr. Murphy.
Yeah, to me, I think it's also about just taking care of the teams that you've already maybe taken care of this season, like the Reds. Like, you're going to have at least 2 out of 3 from the Reds. There shouldn't be an excuse there. They're obviously, you've kind of had their number for a long time, and that should continue. Even this season, you had their number. And then I would say, teams like maybe the Braves who are struggling, you got to get them when they're down. You got to get the Cardinals, even though the Cardinals have been on a hot streak. They got you earlier this season. You got to get them too. And maybe, split with the Cubs, split with the whoever the other 4-game series are. Cubs are 3, but you get the point. Is you got to have good games against the really good teams, Padres, Cubs, and Phillies. So I think I'm going to go, a couple of games above 500 would be ideal for me. Maybe 15-7 would be ideal. Like that would be ideal for the Brewers to be able to make up some ground, because there's no way, you should be this far behind the Cardinals right now at this point in the season, but you are. So you're going to have to make up some ground here. I'm going to go 15-7. That's the ideal record prediction for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's what I was looking at too, 15-7. I wouldn't sit there and count out Cincinnati. They've been playing good ball, especially lately. They've been pretty hot too. There's really no gimme games in this stretch for the most part. Just please beat the hell out of the Reds and the Cubs and the Cardinals. Do it in the division, get the job done there, because, right now, with as hard as the Brewers schedule is getting, the Cubs schedule is going to get easier, a lot easier. And the fact that they're going, they went through a long gauntlet against really, really good competition and continued to win. And the Brewers, even what have they won now? 8 out of 11, maybe something like that. So they're on the proverbial roll, but they're really not gaining any ground because the Cubs refuse to lose. So we got to sit there and stay well over 500 going into that series against Greg and his bunch of clowns. And then we got to sit there and kick them while they're down and kneecap those suckers to, jump up. And hopefully by the end of that series, we'll be tied in the division. And then we can sit there and talk about trying to repeat the double-digit division winning record that the Brewers had last season.
Yeah, man, I like the way you gentlemen think, man. 15-7 would be absolutely amazing, man. We really appreciate all of y'all listening to us today. Definitely give us your thoughts in the comments. Send us your thoughts on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter. What is it? City Cream 1970, I think is our Twitter handle. Give us a follow there. Love to interact with you. This has been a Cream City Media Group production. This is a Cream City Curveball. I'm your man, Justin from NC.
Chris King.
And Jeff.